if you're looking for a movie that can make you completely forget how mediocre the story really is by showing you a lot of funny jokes that actually land and showing you creative jokes and creative concepts on the big screen, then I believe Despicable Me 4 is for you. Because to be honest with you, I'm not really gonna go too hard on this movie because it's a family fun movie for kids. In the movie theater, I saw a lot of children were there with their families. The theater were laughing. I was laughing myself. We had a fun time there. But for me, it wasn't necessarily that I had a good time. Now, by me saying fun time and good time, I'm gonna explain it like this. It was a very funny movie. I laughed at the jokes. I laughed at the concepts. There was a lot of creative ways in telling jokes, and for a kids movies, some of the jokes were kind of inappropriate. So that made me laugh a lot. But by me not having a good time is because I'm an over analytic type person, man. I like to see great stories, you know what I mean? So the story in this movie is not that great, and that's why on IMDb it's 6.4 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 56%, Metacritic 53%, and the ratings is just not that good for this movie. And I think I know the reason why, because this movie tells a lot of jokes but not a lot of story. Because it starts off that Gru and his family are looking to just retire from their crazy bombastic life that they've been living since the beginning of Despicable Me franchise. So Gru is looking for retirement, but the thing is that that's gonna be halted because there is this villain, and I don't like this villain in my opinion. I did not like his story. I did not like his ambitions. I did not like his concept, to be honest. And that villain is Maxim le Mal. He hates Gru so much because when they were 9 or a young age, like at this talent show, Gru, he was supposed to go on first to do his talent by singing, and Maxim was next. Maxim was always preparing to do this song. I don't know the name of the song, sorry, but to do this song that he's been preparing, he's been, you know, coaching himself, he's been teaching himself, he's been preparing for it. But we now see that Gru actually stole his song, and in the beginning of the movie we didn't know that, because we see Gru was on stage like going crazy with the song. Fans loved it, everyone loved it that attended that event. So then after that, Maxim, he just hit rock bottom after that as a 9-year-old kid, just completely threw away his life, and somehow Gru caused him to get arrested. So eventually Maxim breaks out, and you know, now he's on this hunt for Gru. His minions are cockroaches, which is really disgusting in my opinion. He's a dirty ass nigga, and his plan of getting back at Gru is pretty creepy. He wants to kidnap Gru's baby, turn it into a minion of himself, and be basically the new dad of Gru's kid. This nigga is actually a weirdo in my opinion. You can't even justify kidnapping somebody's newborn baby, bro. You're weird. But the story plays out that Gru and his family are having a hard time adjusting to retirement. They have fake names. Like, I don't really remember all the fake names, but I think Gru's name was Chet, the wife's name was like Blair or Blanche, and the kids' names was, I forgot the kids' fake names. So they all went on to do their own things. Edith and Agnes, they started to go to this karate place that trying to learn karate. It was a little plot hole because when they were there, we saw Agnes, she was being very sad and she didn't want to tell the karate master her real name. So the karate master like scoldly, in a way angrily, like told her go to the corner and be ashamed of yourself. So Edith, standing up for her little sister, she now stomped on that guy's toe. The reason why she did that is because that nigga threatened to hit kids. He said, just because you're children does not mean that I don't hit kids, you know, because he's a karate expert or whatever. So that caused him to completely just like get like embarrassed in front of the kids. But it was a plot hole because they didn't show us what happened in that particular scene. They didn't show us the consequences of that particular scene. And another plot hole was when Lucy, she had her fake job as like a hairstylist, and she was trying to, you know, style this girl's hair. It eventually turned to shit. It's not a big plot hole because it kind of got resolved later. The resolving of this plot kind of made it end in a little cliffhanger, because when Lucy, Agnes, and Edith were all shopping later in the movie for groceries, that same lady that Lucy destroyed her hair spotted them and was chasing after them, running after them. It was a funny scene, I ain't gonna lie, a very funny scene where she was running and then like powder was coming in her face. She was punching through cabinets and all that stuff, punching through aisles, and then they got away. But I thought that this lady would play a role later in the movie as like revenge, but they kind of just left it there, and I was like, okay, I guess, you know, it was kind of like, I guess that happened. And one funny part of the movie was when Gru, since he was a new neighbor, he was trying to meet the other neighbor as Chet, and then the dad of this new character named Poppy, it was so creepy because Gru was like, he was being so odd and weird with Poppy's dad, and Poppy's dad is this like, he's this rich guy. He seems like a jerk in my opinion. He seems like he's like a jock too. So Gru was just trying to be friendly, but he came off in such a odd, weird way that if I was Poppy's dad, in my opinion, I would have told his ass, bro, get the fuck away from me, bro. And then when I eventually see Poppy, and when Poppy came down, she wasn't looking at Gru at first, but then Gru was trying to greet her, trying to say, hey, I have a daughter here. She also has no friends. You guys should hang out. But Poppy didn't care. Then another plot hole happened when Gru's daughter, Margot, went to school. But it seems that like when she was at school, she got bullied because when Gru picked her up, Gru saw her like having glitter on her face. Somebody had a glitter bomb in her locker and just smeared it on her face. So I thought that Poppy would be the bully, but it was not touched upon later. I know this is a family kids movie that you don't need these plots, you don't need these plot points to make kids love the movie, but just for people who are overly critical like me, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, there's so many plot holes, you know. So the movie eventually ends by, in my opinion, Maxim is one of the worst villains, because throughout the duration of the movie, we don't see him anywhere. He just flying to get Gru, trying to find Gru, and the only way he found Gru was because when Gru was manipulated by Poppy to break into Gru's old like preschool or his elementary school so Poppy could steal a mascot. Poppy manipulated and blackmailed Gru by threatening to expose him because she knew his secret identity. It wasn't really explained how she knew his secret identity, so that's kind of a plot hole in itself. I guess she's just really smart and she's just on social media a lot, and plus Gru is actually a famous supervillain, so that makes sense in a way as well. So obviously you could actually realize that someone who looks like Gru, who's calling himself Chet, they look the same and two and two match together. But the plan fails. They get caught by the principal, who this old lady. This scene was very funny though. It was a very funny scene. A lot of things happened in the scene that was very, very funny. But when this was happening, the main villain, Maxim, was not the one to get Gru, to find Gru himself. It was the principal who even told Maxim about Gru's location. So in my opinion, Maxim is not the real villain in this movie. It was the principal. But there's another subplot of the super minions where they get superpowers. One has heat vision, one has flight, one has like super strength, and one is like indestructible. I really love that one because their sequence was very funny in my opinion. I love seeing how they just could not save anybody, and when they wanted to save people, they just completely ruined it. They completely messed it up, and then the whole city hated them and were chasing them, which caused them to be temporarily retired. But their retirement was completely short-lived because at the end of the movie, when Maxim is finally facing Gru in such an anticlimactic battle, the principal of that preschool has already been defeated. The fight was happening. I actually thought the superheroes would come in the fight because Maxime turned Gru's son into a mutant, a cockroach type mutant, the same type mutant that Maxime is as well. So I thought we would see like some superpower fight at the end of the movie, but it was such a bland fight because Gru just knocked out Maxime, made Maxime fall from like this high building, fall to the ground. That we see the minions, the super minions, come with all their stuff that they brought along with them, and they inadvertently beat Maxime. And the end of the movie, it made me walk out, to be honest, because at the end of the movie, Gru came to the prison Maxime was at and told him and admitted, yeah, I was one that caused it. That scene in particular, I liked it because it showed that Gru is still the villain we all know and love. He's still the jackass we all know and love. I know it's a family movie that you need to get every kid there to love the ending and to celebrate the ending, but the ending where Gru and Maxime were singing in front of the inmates, I was like, oh man, this movie had an interesting concept to do, but I just wish Maxime was not the villain. I wish they had a different villain. In my opinion, I wish the super minions were the villain because I don't know, because Maxime's plot, I just didn't like his plot. Like his plot that, oh, you ruined me in the talent show, it's so cliche. But I know the super minions are also cliche as well, but they were more funny. They had my attention more. I was more entertained with the super minions. Their scenes, in my opinion, were very, very, very funny. I was laughing my ass off throughout their scenes, and the other minions too, but those minions were very funny. That's just the duality of this movie. Like, it can be very funny, but if you really want a great story, you're not gonna have a good time. So I'll recommend this movie if you want to watch it with like your kids or like your younger siblings. But if you want to watch a movie that can make you like, oh, this is gonna be a good movie, do not watch this movie, man. It's mid. But that's the end of the video. I'm out. Peace.